I can't do it.
Okay.
We'll do it live.
Okay. No.
We'll do it live. Fuck it. Do it live. I'll write it and we'll do it live.
Right.
Fucking thing sucks.
In 5, 4, 3.
Anyone claiming that America's economy is in decline is peddling fiction.
I've abandoned free market principles to save the free market system.
But we have to pass the bill so that you can find out what is in it.
Raising the debt ceilings does not increase our debt. It does not somehow promote profligacy.
I know words. I have the best words. Nobody knows the system better than me, which is why I alone can fix it.
What's up, everybody? Happy Friday, and welcome back to the Peddling Fiction Podcast. I'm your host, the voice and soul of so-called fiction, Johnny Profita. And back with me on a lovely Friday afternoon is the one and only Justin Hillbilly Boy Campbell. How you doing? It feels like a very hectic Friday. I don't know if your hecticness is rubbing off on me.
I'd say mine has been a hectic week in general, but I don't know if I told you. So I don't know if we talked about it. Like I had that procedure done. So I had a doctor's appointment on Tuesday, and then I had a procedure done on Wednesday, and then on next Wednesday I have a consultation with the surgeon, and then they'll get me scheduled to have. So basically, they're gonna have to run a scope down my esophagus and cut it, and then sew it back up, and possibly it'll have to be banded. And then I'll be on like a liquid diet for at least a week, if not 2 weeks, and probably soft food diet for a better part of a month while it heals. And then I should be back to normal after that. I had to have I had the doctor's appointment on Tuesday to talk about everything. And I actually appreciated that doctor. He kind of explained everything than anybody else has up to this point. But he set me up and he was like, we're not going to be able to put a balloon in it. You're going to have to actually have surgery. So I'm sending you for a test to be done tomorrow. I was like, motherfucker, like if you know what has to be done, then just let's fucking do it. Why do I have to have tests? So anyway, the nurse was very nice, and she explained the test and why it was necessary, because the test would actually let them see what was going on with my esophagus, so they know where to cut and how to actually repair it. This test, if you ever have to have an esophageal manometry, just die instead. That's totally not worth it. They run what the doctor told me was they're going to run a tube up your nose and then down your throat into your stomach, and that'll like to test stuff on your esophagus. So what it's testing is it's seeing how your esophagus constricts whenever you swallow stuff, and it also tests like the pressure levels of your esophagus to see how it's all like sitting. Mine's non-functional, but that's neither here nor there. That's what they're going to fix. So the lady was like, this is going to be really bad. I was like, I assumed from what the doctor told me with, up the nose, down the throat, it was not going to be pleasant. She pulls out a fucking glow rope. This thing, it was like, I was like, that's a goddamn probe. That's not a tube. And she like sprays this numbing stuff in the back of my throat and sticks this like goop up my nostrils. And then she goes to stick it in, and she sticks it in the left one, and it goes up and it won't go through. So I can like feel this fucking thing poking me in the brain, and I feel like I'm going to throw up and cry all at the same time. She pulls it back out. She's like, that's not working. She's like, I'm going to have to go up the other side. I'm like, God damn. Okay. And like the whole time I'm sitting there holding a barf bag, like just hoping for
a nickel for every time you heard that,
huh? So she was really nice, but she was really sweet. She gave me a minute to recover, and she took a tissue and wiped my face because I was like literally in tears. And then she went up the other side, and so like I feel it go through, and it's coming back down like the back side of my. And she's like, "Okay, we're about to the spot." She said, "I need you to put your head down and swallow, and you're gonna basically like swallow this fucking thing down." Oh my God. It was
That sounds
everything about
fucking
this was the
miserable.
worst shit ever. And
That's how they should torture people at Guantanamo Bay. Forget
for
water.
real. Yeah. I mean, if doctors and nurses are allowed to do it, then it's not cruel and unusual punishment. So like roll that shit out.
They're
Like
just
this
running tests. They're not torturing.
right. Instead of giving people the death penalty, just send them to have that done twice a day for the rest of their lives. They'll take care of that death penalty thing on their own.
Oh man. Yeah, that sounds absolutely awful.
Yeah, so I've had a hell of a week, and so that was Wednesday, and then yesterday I spent most of the afternoon talking to the people that did the people about their test results, my doctor, and then the surgeon to get set up. So next Wednesday I go have my consultation with the surgeon, and then I'll get set up. So and we'll have to talk about scheduling then, because it sounds like I'm probably going to be out of commission for at least a few days. But we got a couple weeks until we got to deal with that.
Oh man, new fear unlocked. There's some sort of issue with my esophagus.
having that probe run up your nose, scramble your brains, and then back down into your throat.
I mean, it really is. I mean, how much I take my health for granted is fucking crazy. There's so many little things that can go wrong that will just make you miserable, absolutely miserable. Would you have been better off just living with this?
No, I'm
No.
40 pounds. I'm down 40 pounds now.
Okay.
Yeah, like when I first started going to the doctor about all this, I was down about 25 pounds, and now I'm down about 40 pounds. Like there's no way I could have just kept doing this.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, when something does go wrong with me, it's usually just like, I don't know, like my back's been giving me fucking problems lately. And you know, or I'll dislocate my shoulder or break a finger or something like that kind of stuff. I'm like, oh yeah, that sucks. But yeah, having like tests run like that and all this internal shit and surgeries. I mean, I suppose it's great that we can we have the medical knowledge and technology to do this stuff, but god damn, you wouldn't wish it on your worst enemy.
Yeah. That whole probe up the nose thing, that was, man. And Stephanie had it done so she has a spinal fusion, and when she'd had that done when she was in college, and she had some complications and had to have one of these done back then. And so she was like, after I get back and explain like what a miserable fucking thing this whole ordeal was, she's like, yeah, I had one when I was like 16. She's like, I knew. She said, if they ever tell me I have to have one of those again, I'm just going to choose death. She's like, it's not worth it. I was like, oh, you could have like given me some forewarning or something. She was like, if I told you that beforehand, you would have said you're not doing it, and you'd have just chosen to die. I was like, yeah, you're probably right.
Yeah. Can't they knock you out and do all this stuff?
Because
No?
you
got to be swallowing to see the. Yeah,
you have to swallow the fucking probe to make it go down. They can't just ramrod it through, and then also you have to. So they squirt saline in your mouth, and you have to swallow that. It took like 15-20 minutes of like this thing down my throat, up my nose and down my throat, and just swallowing little shots of saline to run all the tests to see what my esophagus was doing. Oh man, it was fucking miserable.
Yeah, that sounds terrible.
Yeah, and then the worst part of it was when I get done and I like walk outside, because I don't have room. Like, you know, everything backs up, and you've seen me have to like cut my camera off and run, and like I run out to go throw up because every once in a while, like everything that's just lodged in my esophagus comes up. I get out of there, and all of that fucking saline comes back up. So I'm just like, like blowing all that shit out. So then I got to deal with it twice. It was, everything about that was just fucking miserable.
Yeah, I couldn't even like give you shots of tequila instead.
Right?
Why's it got to be saline solution?
Apparently the saline solution makes the scans light up the right way, where that they can actually see the muscle constrictions and see what your esophagus is doing. Or in my case, literally nothing. There's like two little spots that would like flash a little bit, like they were trying to do something, and the whole rest of it was just like nothing. I've just got a flaccid tube hanging here where nothing's going anywhere. So, yay!
All right. Well, how do we avoid this? For anybody that's still listening after being fucking disgusted and bored out of their mind.
Okay, how do we avoid this? Here's the really fucked up part. So the doctor that I went to on Tuesday, he said, we have a really good understanding of it, but there's still nobody knows why it happens. It just does. It's like, we know how to fix it. We understand what to do to treat it, but nobody knows why it happens. It just seems to be random. It's like, that's just fucking wonderful. The wonders of modern medicine, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah. Interesting. Well, you should probably stop sucking all that dick. I'll just leave it at that. All right. Anyway. All right. Speaking of cocksuckers, what do we got in the news? Not sure where we're going after that, but
speaking of cocksuckers, Gavin Newsom went on not Jimmy Kimmel. They said he was going to be on Kimmel. He was on Colbert.
That was fake news.
Yeah, he was on Colbert the other night, and he's really worried about the midterms.
As a Democratic Party, we have a lot of work to do to make up for our failures in the past. We got crushed in this last election. And now we're in a position where we are struggling to communicate. We're struggling to win back now the majority in the House of Representatives. And that's a big part of what I'm doing, not just today in terms of the work out here, raising money, but also raising awareness around how Donald Trump is trying to rig the midterm elections and how I fear that we will not have an election in 2028. I really mean that. And the core of my soul, unless we wake up to the code red, what's happening in this country, and we wake up soberly to how serious this moment is.
See, this is like the fear-mongering hate porn that the left pushes. They're like, we need to tone down the rhetoric. You are not toning down the rhetoric by talking about how Donald Trump is going to rig the 2026 midterms and then not have an election at all in 2028.
Right. And to the people that have been conditioned by government to believe that voting and our elections is the fucking holy grail of of this religious cult. It's without an election, oh no. A lot of it's projection too, it seems to be, because they more and more evidence is coming out that they rigged the 2020 election. I flagged that article about it. It was earlier this week, but we don't have to get into it. But yeah, this idea that Donald Trump's going to rig the election, and he's this evil dictator, and we can't, if we don't do what's necessary.
Code red.
Wink, wink, Nazi white supremacy, dictator, fascism, code red. If we may never have an election ever again. So what do you do if you can't have elections? How do you get rid of a fascist dictator? The implication being you shoot at him, which they've done. They did successfully once, unsuccessfully a second time. I guess that guy was just had his did he have his trial, or was it just what the hell was going on with the guy that on the golf course? Is that earlier this week? He's representing himself and trying to act like he's crazy. What the fuck's his name?
Ryan Roth. Ryan Roth.
Yeah, that guy.
He was found guilty.
Okay, yeah, that didn't take long. Well, he represented himself. I don't think he even took a lawyer, and he was just like, "Yeah, Ryan Roth, thank you, Magoo."
The trial of Ryan Wesley Roth came to a dramatic end Tuesday when he tried to stab himself in the neck with a pin after a Florida jury found him guilty of attempting to assassinate Donald Trump last year on a golf course.
Yeah. Now, they keep saying, "Oh, these people are and Jimmy Kimmel came back. He's like, these people, they're not left, they're not right, they're just crazy people." It's really, logically, it follows if you buy into the propaganda from the left, and are this is a fight for the soul of the nation. Our very democracy is at stake, and we're not going to have elections if you let this guy do what he's going to do. It logically, and he's Hitler, and he's a Nazi, and white supremacy. It totally logically follows that, okay, we need to kill this guy. I mean, who wouldn't go back in time and kill Hitler if they had the chance, right? So, dude, yeah, this fear porn that they're peddling, and he's saying that we struggle with messaging. It's like, you don't really struggle with messaging. It's just that your messages suck.
Especially
Like,
from the left. Like, the only message they have is orange man bad. Like,
right. They don't stand for anything really.
Everything is
Except,
white
yeah, they want
supremacy.
free healthcare, free
Everything
education.
is fascism.
Yeah, right. Orange man bad, fascism, white supremacy, and free shit for everybody. And so, since they you can't really and they've gone to that fascism, orange man bad well so many times in the most hysterical ways. It's just like, yeah, some people, like normal people, get numb to it. But like, if that's going to be your message and you can't really communicate that, well, then, yeah, you just have to scare everybody into voting for you or to taking up your causes in some sort of physical manner. Yeah, dude, Gavin Newsom. Well, and he's going to be on, like, he wants to run for president. He's going to be on that 2028 ticket. It's going to be him and AOC.
I'd say, is he? Because they've had Kamala Harris out there a lot lately, and if it's just to promote the book, then I guess. But man, she hasn't done a very good job with that. Like, but yeah, why are all the leftist politicians making like the media rounds right now? It's kind of weird.
Well, yeah, and you know what else is? Yeah, well, I guess maybe they're gearing up for midterms, but as far as like the whole messaging thing goes, it's like, yeah, I like the fear porn thing. What do you like? What's the end game? Why these people keep coming out and they're like criticizing Donald Trump when he gives an address and he's like, oh, he was so divisive and he said he hates his enemy. Like, the people who hate Donald Trump are shocked that the feeling is mutual. But it's like, okay, well then, if that's the message that you want to hear from the president, why aren't you guys promoting that message? Instead of being like, oh my God, fascism, end of the world, no more elections. You're going to be, what's that stupid movie with the chicks? Whatever. But they come up with all these like dystopian images instead of like make America great again, but just do it from like the left's perspective and have some sort of uplifting, positive message. Be like, yeah, we can make things better, not just like, oh, this guy's trying to kill you and they hate you. And, if we get into power, we'll give you free healthcare.
The Handmaid's Tale. Did we do the where that journalist in Boston had somebody take a picture of her wearing her Handmaid's Tale garb and then wrote an article about how it was just a normal day in the United States? Somebody like, bitch, that's you. You made that whole thing up just for your own like story.
Yeah. And I mean, the Epstein files is a big what's the word I'm looking for? I don't know. A big failure of the fucking Trump administration. I mean, he really lost a lot of credibility with that and ran on it too. It wasn't just like people were like, he came out, made promises, and his fucking DOJ, FBI, like they were all being like, yeah, we're going to get these guys. And then they completely fucking shit the bed on it. But I mean, again, there are a lot of people who are still very energetic about that. But I mean, compared to what's happened in the last couple of weeks, you can kind of realize that, yeah, that it's going to get pushed aside. I mean, when they're actually shooting people, it's just like, okay, yeah. I mean, how are you going to get rid of all these pedophiles in Washington?
and attempting to shoot people in some cases. Or I guess it wasn't an attempt. They were successful. Just what they were attempting to do and what they actually accomplished were two very different things.
Griff, we just heard from Todd Lyons. He said, hi, we had shots fired into the Dallas ICE office, into the ICE office, specifically into the Sallyport, as you were saying, Griff, area where detainees are brought in. 3 people have been shot and en route to the hospital. Reports are the shooter is down from a self-inflicted gunshot wound. Reports are all ICE employees are accounted for, still searching and securing the scene.
Yeah, and Ainsley, Secretary Kristi Noem, DHS Secretary, is now responding on social media as well, saying that there was a shooting this morning at the Dallas ICE detention facility. Details are still emerging, but we can confirm there were multiple injuries and fatalities. That's new and troubling. The shooter is deceased by a self-inflicted gunshot wound. She says, while we don't know the motive yet, we know that our ICE law enforcement is facing unprecedented violence against them. It must stop. She adds, please pray for the victims and their families.
Yeah, I always love this. We don't know the motive when it's just the most obvious fucking motive of all time. Like, I remember people like retards were coming out and being like, oh, yeah, like this is, some right-wing guy that just wanted to kill him. It's like, even if there was like a right-wing guy that hated illegal immigrants, I don't think he'd be going into the ICE facility and shooting the ones that were about to be deported. You fucking idiots. I mean, Jesus Christ. This is just a lefty retard with really bad aim. Thankfully, he didn't miss himself.
Yeah, I mean, we already know what did you see the okay, so this is insane. And they found the guy, like the victim, or not the victim, the shooter who took his own life. Like, they had all of his information, they got his corpse there. They found all of his social media. This dude was like full on leftist rager. Like, some of his like social media posts and stuff were like you see the left can't meme stuff where it's just like wall of text with that, like, this dude embodied that. It was
and still can't meme.
And some of the like dumbest shit too, like the stuff that they talk about, the stuff that like Don Lemon likes to talk about, was talking about a couple weeks ago, the stuff that AOC and the squad like to go on their little tirades about. It's like the dude drank the fucking Kool-Aid.
Cognitive dissonance. How is that? Okay. Yeah, he had great aim. I'm sure he was going into the facility to kill detainees.
He didn't even go in. He shot from the outside. Like,
yeah,
dude was just blind firing. That's
yeah. Anyway, yeah. I mean, again, and this is like, how many shootings have we had just in the last couple of weeks?
Yeah.
I mean, there's the school shootings, obviously the Charlie Kirk thing, and then the ABC studio. There are two ABC studios that were shot up in the wake of the Kimmel thing, and now this, and it's just like,
nah, John,
okay,
it's all right wing. This is the right wing trying to drive their own violent revolution or something like that.
Yeah, and what's with the writing on the bullet? Like, I don't know. That was that like the guy like wrote in pen, "I'm anti-ICE" or something on the bullet. Like, that kind of shit makes me scratch my head. But it's like, yeah, these people are retards. So I don't know.
All of these dumbass shooters write shit on their guns. They write stuff on their bullets. It's like, why? Golly.
Yeah, I don't know. It's like the same people that put bumper stickers on their cars. That sort of mentality. I don't know. But yeah, if I ever saw anybody writing something on their gun or their bullets, like, okay, yeah, that's a red flag. Low IQ copycat shit from the Kirk assassination. Yeah, well, it's like, dude, I mean, honestly, I wonder if you could make a case that this is just like mental abuse that the corporate press and the government has been doing to these kids. they're driving them all insane, getting them all riled up about these political things. And I mean, how old was this ICE shooter? Not very old.
Yeah, I'd say not very old.
You know, it's just like, dude, they're like torturing these kids with this messaging, and it doesn't have to be that way. But again, when you have the level of government that we have, and it's in every aspect of your life, it's easier to get people really, really riled up about these things and convinced that, you know, their life is going to be over unless they take action. You got an age for me yet?
29.
Oh shit, he's that old? I thought he was younger. I thought he was like a teenager. Okay.
I mean, he looked young, but no.
Yeah. Well, I've heard, you know, have you heard these stories of this epidemic of low testosterone? Low T?
That doesn't surprise me at all. Well, are they low T because of like something going on, or does it have something to do with maybe they're so low T because their moms were a little bit on the high T during pregnancy?
Yeah, I something is changing because the levels of testosterone are drastically falling. But yeah, so this is set this up. Donald Trump, well, not Donald. I guess Donald Trump was there. RFKJ came out. They were doing like some sort of press conference where they started mentioning that Tylenol has been linked to autism, and you shouldn't take it when you're pregnant.
And then to prove Trump wrong,
If you're pregnant, don't take Tylenol.
Weeks pregnant, you know what I'm gonna take? Some Tylenol, acetaminophen.
About to take Tylenol for my headache while pregnant because I don't take my medical advice from a man who doesn't have a degree in science, healthcare, or medicine.
Don't take it.
I'm gonna keep buying it. In fact, I'm gonna fucking stock up. It's gonna work like a charm, and my baby won't have autism.
The FDA is responding to clinical and laboratory studies that suggest a potential association between acetaminophen use during pregnancy.
all right, I did an episode of my show yesterday where I read basically the first part of the study, the explanation, went through the doctors who were involved, the way that they conducted the study and everything. It's like, oh my God, I'm not taking my medical advice from somebody who doesn't have a degree. It's like, okay, well, what about from the dean of the School of Medicine of fucking Harvard? That was one of the 4 authors of this. How about the fact that they looked at 108 separate studies and then took 46 of them that were deemed to be the most reliable, had the best data and everything. And that's where they got this information from. This wasn't something that like RFK and Donald Trump pulled out of their ass. This was a legitimate study that's been done over the course of a couple of years that was based off of 108 other studies. Like,
it really is just, it's amazing, man. It's amazing. Like, these are the people who were freaking out. Remember when they like said Donald Trump said to like drink bleach or something? He's like, all these people are going to start drinking bleach now because Donald Trump told them to. It's like, no, they're not.
But if Donald Trump said don't drink bleach, I bet you the left will be out there just chugging that shit left and right. He needs to try that.
There would be some people. I
bleach
mean,
is bad for you. Don't drink bleach, just to see how many of them will go like completely wreck there.
I saw some like unconfirmed reports that like one woman was like hospitalized because she was taking all this Tylenol. I don't know if that's true or not. It seemed a little convenient, but
it seemed a little convenient. But I've seen it multiple places. I haven't seen any actual confirmation of it, but I have seen it.
But that's like, oh yeah, they were taking horse paste, and all these people were hospitalized because they took fucking ivermectin.
Do you remember talking about that? They were like, there was a 150% increase. It went from 7 people to 9 people or something that had called, and not even all of them were hospitalized, just that had called poison control because they thought something was wrong. That, like, once you dig into the numbers on that, it's fucking insane.
Yeah.
And it's the same with this. Like, once you look at the studies and you look at the actual research behind this, and then you look at what these fucking morons are doing, it's like, golly, like, you're the one who's not trusting the science. The science is all right the fuck there. And it's not even, it doesn't say don't take Tylenol ever. What it explains is when it's prolonged use over the course of 2-3 weeks, consistently at maximum levels or above, then there's going to be a problem. Like, yeah, if you have a headache, pop a couple Tylenol, you're fine. Just don't make it something that you're doing consistently all day, every day. And that was another part of one of the studies that was involved in that. I wish I had saved the link to it, where it talked about, like, with the prolonged use and stuff, if somebody is taking Tylenol like that, there's something else wrong. Like, but a lot of times because Tylenol has been, or because the doctor recommended that the pregnant woman could take Tylenol for headaches and stuff, they end up having body aches and headaches persistently for a long period of time. And they just keep taking Tylenol instead of actually, like, saying, hey doc, like,
yeah, you're treating symptoms of a bigger issue.
Right. And it's not like it's news that Tylenol or acetaminophen can do kidney and liver damage. Like, that's not something that's new.
That's why it's just so dumb watching them take this, like they're going to stick it to Trump or something because you took Tylenol and nothing happened to you. It's like, okay, great. Congratulations. But like whatever the risk is of taking Tylenol, we know it's not zero. So like, why would you unnecessarily do that? It is absolutely. I mean, these people are nuts. Why would you get that upset over, like, you have a dog in this fight? Like who cares? If I was pregnant and they said, oh, this thing might be linked to autism, I'd be like, oh, I'm probably not going to take that. Yeah, I'm not even going to look into the study. If they're just like, hey, some people think this might be that. I was like, okay, that's good enough for me. I don't need to take it. I'm not going to take it. Not like, what? Somebody I don't like said not to do this? Well, then I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it to prove him wrong. It really is just a retarded mentality. Absolutely retarded. I can't tell you how many people I saw come on and be like, I had 3 pregnancies and my doctor told me every time that, like, I can take Tylenol. And like, you're telling me my doctor is wrong? And it's just like, you guys learn nothing from the whole COVID, like absolutely nothing from COVID. I mean, one of the big takeaways was like, oh, these doctors don't really know anything. Like, they're taking their marching orders from whoever is at the top of the fucking hill barking out the orders. And a lot of them don't keep up with these trials. And for the trust the science people to just, I guess science is completely settled, and it was completely settled 50 years ago. We could have no more advancements. Nothing else can be questioned. Whatever was decided in 1973 is in perpetuity. That's gospel, apparently. Or can we do more studies and figure out things? What would they have said about your esophagus 50 years ago versus now?
Be dead already.
You know what I mean? It's just like, well, nope. In 1973, that was not his esophagus is fine. It's just like, no, there's been advancements. There's been more studies. We've looked into this. And here's what we think now.
Yeah, God. It's just, it's the trust the science people are the most anti-science people on the planet. It's absolutely insane. Like, I don't know where they're getting their science. And that's another one of those things that we've talked about a lot throughout the course of everything that went on in 2020 through 2022-ish. Is like, they would show their own studies, and it's like, okay, well, like, where is that? It's peer reviewed. It's like, do you know how the peer review process works? Have you like listened to Peter McCullough and some of the others who have talked about like the way the peer review process works is basically you do a study that you want to get published. You cherry pick your data, you put whatever you want in it so that the study says what you need the study to say to justify the position that you've taken on this. And then you cherry pick the people that you send it to be peer reviewed. They give it to an intern or an assistant or somebody else who just signs off on it and says, yes, it's good. And then they send it back. That's how the peer review process works. That's how a lot of it. So that's why, like, when you look at this particular study, the Mount Sinai study that they're referencing, it was 4 different doctors who looked at 108 different studies and narrowed it down to 46 that were reliable, that had excessive amounts of data, that had good data. And they said of the 46 that they ended up going with, the ones that were like the highest quality, that had the most data, the most information, the best tracking on what they were looking at, showed a connection between acetaminophen and NDDs. Then it also said very specifically that there would need to be more study done to determine if there is a direct correlation or a direct causation, between the one to the other. But there is a correlation that when you have excessive amounts of acetaminophen being used during a pregnancy, there is also a link to NDDs. That's what it said. That's not anti-science to say that.
Yeah, and like, what's the downside to this? He's like, oh, how can you defend this? It's like he's not making Tylenol illegal or something. It's just like, okay, here's some more information. Like, what is I don't understand what the big deal is. Again, it's just like, okay, so now here's something about Tylenol. He's not saying you can never take Tylenol again. They're not pulling it from the shelves. It's literally just, okay, here's something that we're looking into, and this may be a cause for concern. The more you know, right? So, yeah, I don't know. They love to rip on his brainworm thing. It's like, okay. It's just like brainworm. All right. Yeah. Oh, you got him. But like you're saying, these are Harvard educated doctors that are some of them that are doing these studies. Do they have brainworm as well?
Right. You can rip on RFK Jr.'s former drug use and his brainworm and everything else. He literally, and where's the fucking letter from the
well, the funny thing is, even with his brainworm and all the heroin use and everything, like, he still runs circles around a lot of his critics mentally. Like, he makes a lot more sense than the people that are just shrieking every time he comes and gives out like a fucking study about XYZ medicine.
Okay, here's the actual statement from the dean of the School of Medicine for Harvard. And this is, I'm going to skip to the end. After assessing the evidence, my colleagues and I recommended a balanced approach based on a precautionary principle. Patients who need fever or pain reduction during pregnancy should take the lowest effective dose of acetaminophen for the shortest possible duration after consultation with their physician about their individual risk-benefit calculation. I discussed our scientific findings and this recommendation from our review article with Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. and NIH Director Jay Bhattacharya in recent weeks and appreciate their interest in this study. So what RFK Jr. is saying came directly from the fucking dean of medicine at Harvard.
Isn't that the recommendation for like every medicine ever? It's like, don't take more than this, and you absolutely have to take. It's like, I don't know, man. The whole thing is just, it's amazing what will get people to freak out. And I mean, this is the Trump derangement syndrome on full display. It's crazy that it hasn't dissipated at all. Okay, Tylenol, like people all of a sudden are just like, I'm willing to die on the hill of Tylenol. You would think it was like you'd think they were the ones that invented Tylenol or something, and you were insulting their life's work. It's like, no, this is just something you buy off the fucking shelf. Who cares?
At the very least, they're willing to poison themselves on the hill of Tylenol. Like, so one of the things that I was reading on that was like, sometimes for people who are like borderline suicidal, that are kind of like doing the cry for help type of a thing, they'll like overdose on extra strength Tylenol, like the 500 milligram, like super dose stuff. They'll overdose on that thinking that it won't kill them, and then it causes them to, and it legit, like the story about that one chick that I don't know if it's true or not, but like people have caused themselves to go into liver and kidney failure by overdosing on it, and it basically just like shuts down their system. Their kidneys get hit with so much of it all at once, it just shuts them down. And it can actually have that kind of an effect very short term. You don't hear about it often. The amount that you would have to take is kind of fucking insane, but it is a possibility.
Yeah. Well, and it was just so funny that if it wasn't the Trump administration, it was the Biden administration, and they came out and they recommended some experimental drug that had like very little testing. They abandoned all the previous testing procedures and all the safeguards that they had in place because it was an emergency and you don't really know what the long-term side effects are. They would line up to take it because you got to trust the science, right?
And if the next week something else came out that said the opposite, they would flip-flop on that. Did you see where that Cynthia Nixon chick, after they canceled Jimmy Kimmel, she was like, everybody needs to cancel their subscriptions to Disney Plus. And then after Kimmel came back on Tuesday night, she came back the next day and she was like, did you watch Kimmel last night? I did. Everybody needs to go and re-up their subscription to Disney Plus. It's like, oh my God, are you that fucking retarded?
Right after there's a price increase coming. They jacked the price up like 30% or something.
Yeah, I saw that. I need to
somehow not captured in the CPI. Imagine that. But yeah, we didn't really talk about the Kimmel coming back.
I didn't watch it. I saw some
clips of it.
Yeah, I saw a clip of his tearful apology, and which was, I don't know, I'm torn on it because number one, I 100% believe that it was scripted. I 100% believe it was bullshit. But also, I don't believe Jimmy Kimmel is a good enough actor to cry on cue. So that makes me have some questions about it. But I mean, if he had practiced it enough, maybe he, had somebody standing behind him with like a something to poke him with a little knife or something in his back so that he'd like get the tears.
He's
going.
got like a thumbtack in his shoe and he just steps on it.
Yeah, he's just sitting there working his foot up and down to get himself worked up.
Yeah, I mean, I obviously I didn't watch it, but I saw the same clips. I was a little surprised. I got to say, I was surprised that he even went that kind of route, it was one of those apologies where it's just like, I'm sorry if you misinterpreted what I said. That wasn't my intention kind of thing.
Yes, I didn't mean for you to get offended by what I said.
Yeah. And obviously, I think if he was actually crying, it was because people thought he was a bad person and he didn't like that. And that made him cry. But yeah, it was, I honestly thought he would probably double down on it if I had to put money on whether he was going to even attempt like a half-assed apology or double down. But yeah, he gave a half-assed apology, cried a little bit, and then I don't know. I didn't watch the whole show. I saw some other clips where he would come out and say some things, but yeah, nobody misinterpreted what he said, and it wasn't like about the jokes he was making. It was because you like blatantly just came out and lied, and that was offensive to people. But anyway, I'm sure he's going to start crushing it now, especially in the key demo. His monologue was as legit as Tyler Robinson's text. Dude, those text messages. Like, dude, you know, it's weird. It's like, it sounds like they got this guy dead to rights. Why do we have to muddy the waters with these like fake text messages back and forth that are way too convenient? And along the same lines, it's like, yeah, Kimmel was a failing fucking show. Why do you even have to come out and sort of threaten to do things the easy way or the hard way and kind of give muddy the waters a little bit as to what's actually going on here? It's like, yeah, you could have just let Kimmel fail. We didn't have to wait that much longer, less than a year, 7 or 8 months or something of him just making shitty jokes out into like a couple 100,000 people, and then he goes away. But now you give him you give him this platform to be like a free speech advocate, and they can get to hammer Trump some more with how he's a fascist dictator. Yeah, I think to Magoo's point there, yeah, the text messages, they certainly seemed contrived, and there's really no reason for as far as I could tell, no likely reason why the FBI or something would do that. It did seem like, yeah, this is the way we're going to exonerate our tranny buddies, by making sure that they have these text messages that give them plausible deniability and everything like that. Anyway, what else do we have on the docket today? You know, Comey got indicted. That's a shame. Oh yeah, because Trump's going after his political enemies, not with. And it's unprecedented, never been done before. Nobody ever would have gone after their political enemies before Trump. This is a one-time thing because Trump is uniquely terribly bad. That is like one of the most amazing things about this entire saga is that even with the Kimmel thing, they act like this censorship is just like he's like, do you really want to live in a world where like you can't podcast and say what you want? Your First Amendment this and it's like, what world have you been living in? Because clearly you have not been living in my world since 2020. And then Google comes out and admits this. Like Google comes out, one of the biggest fucking goddamn search engine in the world, comes out and be like, yeah, we were pressured by the government to censor people. Not just by the government, by the Biden administration. Yes. And it's just like, they completely act like this is the first time. Oh yeah, imagine if the government went after its political enemies and even, I don't know, arrested them. What could you imagine the dystopian world that would be? Like what the fuck are you talking about? You literally have a mugshot of the current president. It's like, and you arrested his fucking lawyers and anybody close to him. I mean, dude, I still don't think that's part of the story got enough. Like his lawyers were arrested for giving him his constitutionally protected right to a defense. They went after his lawyers for that. And we're just going to pretend like that never happened. And now that James Comey has been indicted for perjury. And then what was the other? Perjury and obstruction. Okay. And we're supposed to act like, again, like this is Johnny, you're saying all this stuff that happened to Trump, but there's no evidence that any of that happened.
He is doing what he believes was done against him. There's no evidence that it was. But he doesn't care, and he just sees, hey, eye for an eye, right? This is sort of Old Testament justice in his head. Eye for an eye. You indicted my guy, me. I'm going to figure out how to get back at you.
How did Chuck Todd go from being like the only one that seemed to have common sense on election night with NBC to getting fired to becoming a full-on faggot on his own like podcast? Like, dude, like he nailed it on election night. He was like, "This is what happened. This is where we fucked up. This is why they won." And then he gets fired. I mean, more or less, I think he got fired for telling the truth when everybody was trying to cry and admitting that the Democrats were the problem in that moment. And then he starts doing his own podcast, and like everything that I've ever seen out of him from his podcast, he's turned back into a complete liberal shit lib fucking faggot. I like, dude, you for 20 seconds, you were 100% correct, and that cost you your job, and now you're like just a complete dumbass.
Yeah, maybe he's hoping to get rehired, like our favorite little fucking bald piggy.
Trying to Brian Stelter his way back in there.
Yeah. I mean, they do get some crazy fat fucking contracts for being perpetual liars on cable news, but
but there's absolutely no evidence that Donald Trump was targeted. There's no evidence that Republicans have ever been targeted by the Obama administration, the Biden administration. Never. It's never happened. There's no evidence of that.
No, of course not. And Comey wasn't at the fucking helm of like the whole Russian hoax thing. It's
Right.
just like it is amazing, man. The gaslighting that they do. I don't know, man. It's still just. I shouldn't be surprised at this point, but I'm still just like, I can't believe they're still doing it. Well, and they're still getting away with it.
And Comey's such a sniveling rat. He's trying to give his best like tough guy impression in the face of his indictment.
My family and I have known for years that there are costs to standing up to Donald Trump, but we couldn't imagine ourselves living any other way. We will not live on our knees, and you shouldn't either. Somebody that I love dearly recently said that fear is the tool of a tyrant, and she's right. But I'm not afraid, and I hope you're not either. I hope instead you are engaged, you are paying attention, and you will vote like your beloved country depends upon it, which it does. My heart is broken for the Department of Justice, but I have great confidence in the federal judicial system, and I'm innocent. So let's have a trial and keep the faith.
Yeah, so I don't know who that person he loved dearly that he was quoting there. I don't think that was a Taylor Swift quote. I know he's a big Taylor Swift fan. He came out and admitted that like a month or two ago, if you recall.
Comey's a Swiftie. He deserves jail. He deserves to go to jail all over just for that.
Yeah, like I don't know, it was like a month or two ago. He was bragging about how he's a big Taylor Swift fan. I don't even know what. Yeah, I mean, dude, this guy. Do we even need to run down the rap sheet of the shit that this guy's been pulling since 2016? Dude. What exactly? Which did they? Because he's perjured himself so many times. Like, is there a specific incident where that they're citing for the perjury charge? Do we know?
I think it's specifically for the Russiagate stuff.
Okay.
I think that's what they've narrowed it down to, and that's what they're going after is the Russiagate stuff.
Yeah. When they accused the sitting president of treason and being a Russian Putin puppet, they spied on his campaign leading up to it. They fabricated evidence, and a bunch of people fucking lied to get FISA warrants and shit like that. All to bring down the sitting president. I mean, could you imagine, Justin, the world if the government turns on the sitting president? And speaking of that, who broke I don't know who broke this story. The headline I saw was from The Blaze that the FBI has. It's been confirmed that the FBI had 274 agents in street clothes at January 6th. Did I send you that? Here we go. Leaked memo reveals FBI deployed a stunning 274 agents on January 6th, causing internal revolt. Now, do you remember when Massey was like questioning these pussies in Congress, and he asked if they had any agents on, and they just kind of like dodged the question? They got real cagey with their response. Well, now we know why. It had 274 agents in street clothes pretending to be rioters. How many people are even accused of being insurrectionists on January 6th? What percentage is 274? Couldn't have been that many people. A couple thousand?
Let's see.
But regardless, I mean, dude, this is what the fucking FBI. We just need to abolish the FBI.
1,265 have been charged.
Okay.
Since then.
Wow. And so, and remember those videos of like the guys, they cuff them, they bring them out into the hall, they just uncuff them and give them a fist bump and everything like that. Yeah. So this was completely fucking staged by the government to give them carte blanche to go after political enemies. I mean, they've been dining out on January 6th for the last 4 fucking years, and they're going to continue to do it. Every time something happens, the deranged left riot, like, what about January 6th? That was an insurrection. They tried to overthrow the government. Did they? Did they, though? And now, of course, it comes out, yeah, the FBI, in true FBI fashion, probably instigated the whole fucking thing. They're always behind it, dude. They're always behind it. Which is why you, like, all you, MAGA patriots out there, do not be fucking goated by these Fed boys. It's like, this is the most obvious setup ever. It really is amazing, man. And of course, it comes out 4 fucking years later. Why did it take this long to get, and they'll still, despite this coming out, they will still use January 6th as this, bludgeoned against anybody on the right.
Well, we've already seen the tapes from inside of Congress where the violent mob was walking around, being led around by Capitol Police, being like...
Yeah, they're all in on it.
Yeah.
They're all fucking in on it, dude. The FBI just needs to be fucking about. Like, this is ridiculous, dude. How many more plots do they have to be behind before we're just like, okay, I don't think we need you anymore? And how many more, like, almost everything that the left will cite to sort of, berate the right with political violence, like the Whitmore thing, that was an FBI plot. That it looks like January 6th was an FBI plot. It's all they're behind everything. All those supposed terrorist, operations that they were thwarting. It's like, how many agents were actually involved in that and instigating it? Really is something, man. It's a lot of feds. 275.
Yeah, that's a lot.
That's a lot. That's certainly enough. Like, especially because all the violence was like located in like a few small areas, right? Like one side of the building was completely fine, and then one area, there's like one tunnel or something that they were in that got pretty rowdy, and then outside one side of the building. But it's like, yeah, that's plenty. 275 for people, whatever.
Well, and even inside the tunnel, they got rowdy. We were watching that. I don't know. I know you weren't on it, and I don't know if Jim was. He might have been. There were a handful of us that were on the Peddling Fiction Facebook group watching it live. And one of the feeds that I had pulled up in that was from inside the tunnel underneath the tunnel that was so rowdy, where it was so violent, so horrible that one of the Capitol Police officers got tangled up in a barricade and fell down and got pinched. And these violent insurrectionists got him loose, passed him over the line of shields and stuff, and completely stopped everything until they made sure that he was secure, was okay, and had been gotten safely away. And then they started pushing again. These are the violent insurrectionists who were trying to overthrow the government and kill all the Capitol police officers. That when one went down, they helped him up and made sure that he was safe and secure before starting to protest again. Yeah. And we watched that happen live. Like,
yeah, no, I remember you bringing it up. I was not I was not part of that, but
dude, I probably watched just 10 straight hours of that, everything going on until everything kind of started to dissipate and people started to clear out later that night. Like when I guess it was the National Guard like rolled in and just starts like marching across, like, all right, you got to go home or we're taking you to jail. It's like okay. Yeah.
Well,
yeah. Yes, they did card game on in the middle of the worst insurrection in American history. Like,
oh, great reference. Great reference to the Wayne's World there. Okay. We got a few minutes left here. Do we want to go with which retard do we want to go with? We got Ben Affleck's daughter or Joy Reid? Okay.
Let's go with Ben Affleck's daughter because
for adults, the relentless beat of back to normal, ignoring, downplaying, and concealing both the prevalence of airborne transmission and the threat of long COVID manifested in a series of choices. Young people lacked real choice in the matter and information about what was being chosen for us. Here's what we know about SARS-CoV-2. It is airborne, floating and lingering in the air. One infection can result in disabling damage to almost every cell in the body, from the brain and heart to the nerves and blood vessels.
Johnny, how many times have you had COVID?
At least 3.
Yeah, at least twice for me. And that's twice that I got tested for it. So not counting the first time with the OG that tried to legitimately kill me back in
I
February.
suppose I never tested positive for it.
Yeah, one time will kill you, Johnny. That's all it takes. Severe damage to the brain and nerves and blood vessels.
Every subsequent infection increases the risk of long COVID and places people who already have it in greater danger. Here's what we don't know, is what it does to reinfect children over and over and over again with no end point in sight from the day they are born. We are about to find out. As Dr. Akiko Iwasaki says, at this point, the whole population is the control group. And after only 5 years, long COVID has surpassed asthma as the most common chronic illness in children. 5 years. I am terrified for the children who do not or soon will not know a world without debilitating pain and exhaustion, who cannot trust their bodies to play, explore, and imagine, and who will not know the potential of their own minds unfettered by the cognitive damage from a COVID-19 infection. And I am furious on their behalf. It is neglect of the highest order to look children in the eyes and say, we knew how to protect you, and we didn't do it. We have access to a technology to prevent airborne disease, something that millions of our ancestors and millions of people around the world today would kill for, and we refuse to use it. And I shudder to think of where we will be in another 5 years of unmitigated infection and reinfection. But let me say on the topic of generational memory that while I imagine no one in this room was alive in the time of Jon Snow or Ignaz Semmelweis, many of you fought the long and hard battle against indoor smoking. My only memory of that era, at almost 20 years old, is being confused as a child about the no smoking signs on planes. Who would do that? That's gross. My hope for this event and my belief in this community rest on the belief that we can and we must do that again. We can recognize filtered air as a human right as intuitively as we do filtered water. We can create clean air infrastructure that is so ubiquitous and so obviously necessary, tomorrow's children don't even know why we need it. We need the people who remember 2020, who were not, like me, 14 in 2020, to be loud about the world that we were promised at the onset of the pandemic, when we and our institutions promised each other that if we only got out of that desperate acute phase, we would do everything we could to protect our communities going forward.
Okay, yeah, that is Jennifer Garner's daughter. To Magoo's point there, if you were having trouble understanding her, it's because she's wearing a mask, and that if you're wondering how recent that video, I think that was from this week. It was not from 4 years ago when she was 14 or so, 5 years ago when she was 14 during COVID. Dude, I almost don't even know
Why
where to
does
go.
she have an audience to talk to the UN? Like, who the fuck is Jennifer Gardner and Ben Affleck's daughter that anybody should give a fuck what her opinion is about literally anything? The only thing I care, the only opinion I care less about than a celebrity's is a celebrity's kid. Like,
or any fucking kid for that matter. She said it herself. She was fucking 14 when this was going on.
And she's like, we have the technology to protect them. Why aren't we doing it? Literally nobody is stopping you from wearing a mask everywhere. You are a prime example of that. You're wearing yours right now all the time. She probably sleeps in it. Like, nobody's stopping anybody from wearing masks. That's like, but the problem is the UN needs to make a mandate that everybody everywhere has to wear a mask forever. That's the problem. Nobody's stopping you. If you're concerned about it, just wear the fucking thing. Like that.
Right. If your mask protects you, what do you what are you worried about my mask for?
I still see whole fucking mask families running around that, like, every one of them will be at Walmart. And like, you're at fucking Walmart and you're all wearing your masks and cloth masks.
Crazy that they're still wearing it, but I get logically consistent. Yeah, you better still be wearing it because COVID's still a threat. And we don't know what's going to happen, Justin, if kids just keep getting infected over and over and over again. Actually, we do. Every time they get infected, it's less intense than the time before. it's probably that I can speak to. The first time I had COVID, it was much worse than the second time, which was worse than the third time. And yeah, each strain gets less virulent and less fucking dramatic. We actually do have that.
It is long COVID at this point. Like, they talk about this long COVID, but they've turned long COVID into basically any chronic illness that you have that probably existed before you ever got COVID to begin with. Now that's long COVID. Like, anything that's wrong with you is just long COVID now.
Yeah. Well, it could be a mental disorder. It could be from the vaccine. Maybe it's from Tylenol.
Were you ever at any point in the last 5 years have a positive diagnosis of COVID? Okay, then everything that's wrong with you from this point forward is long COVID. I guess back in...
Dude, they're hypochondriacs. And you're a hypochondriac if you have long COVID. You're a
back
hypochondriac.
In January or February, I got tested for... I thought I had strep. And so when they did the strep test, because I've had strep before. So I thought I had strep. So when they did the strep test, they did flu, A, B, and COVID as well. And I tested negative for strep, flu A and B, and positive for COVID. It's like, and they told me, okay, well, you've got COVID. There's nothing we can do about it. It's like, okay, cool. I'm like, if it was strep, at least you can give me that fucking horse pill that'll help, clear that up. But it's COVID. But when I went to the doctor on Tuesday, they're like, oh, I see you were diagnosed with COVID back in February. I was like, and I don't. Why is that important?
Dude, I guarantee you, if all these doctors didn't tell them that they had COVID, or it's like, hey, I'm going to give you this thing and you'll be 100% better by next week, all of these long COVID pussies would be 100% better. The mind does have a lot of power to make your body feel like shit if you've been propagandized to freak out over COVID, like that chick. I wonder if she's had COVID. Jennifer Garner's daughter, she have long COVID?
Probably had it multiple times.
But how? She's got her mask on and everything. She's terrified of the kids. Imagine being afraid of kids getting COVID. It's like the least at-risk group of ever suffering from COVID. Yeah, sugar pills. I mean, dude, yeah, long COVID. That's just not a thing. I'm sorry. It's just not a goddamn thing. You don't see, I have not seen, I'll say that. I have not seen one person who was like, oh, this COVID thing's a hoax. This is all bullshit. The vaccine is bullshit. I haven't seen one of those people complain of long COVID. Have you? They've all gotten COVID for sure. Like, everybody's had it. None of those people have long COVID. And all these paranoid hypochondriac pussies that are still wearing masks have long COVID. How do you explain that? The only real, variable was the vaccine. If anybody out there listening did not get the vaccine and has long COVID, please contact me. I'd love to hear your story. but I highly doubt that'll happen. I highly doubt it. It's always people that were highly vaccinated or a highly paranoid pussy that has long COVID, which again is just, it's just such a vague term. What does that even mean? Like you're tired all the time? Or maybe you just haven't gotten if you haven't gotten your sense of taste back, okay. I still wouldn't consider that long COVID. I would just consider that permanent COVID damage. Anyway, there are still fucking lunatics among us. And why we are giving a child some sort of platform to talk. It is the dumbest form of human like communication I've ever seen. At first it was the Greta Thunberg thing, and now this, like, why are we talking to kids? A 14, and now she's 20. She's like, all I remember about non-smoking is like, yeah, it had already been abolished by then. When we were kids, 20 years before that, it's like, yeah, you had smoking sections and non-smoking sections in restaurants. I still haven't died of secondhand smoke, even though it's a first-rate killer. Still here. But it's like these kids know nothing. You know nothing. At 14, you know, like less than nothing. At 20 now, you're still like a child. Clearly, she's an underdeveloped child.
I say Jennifer Garner, Ben Affleck's daughter, is 19. She goes to Yale. She's spoken before on this. She actually pointed out how long COVID is especially bad for communities of color, disabled people, elderly people, and the trans community. Like this is your contribution. What about what happened to trust the science?
Isn't it amazing how it's just all their previously marginalized groups are always the ones that are most affected by everything?
Right.
How does COVID affect the trans more than the non-trans? Other than just the mental illness aspect that we were just talking about. The black community, I get it, because there's a lot of like fat diabetic black people. So they have a more comorbidities. They're more likely to suffer complications. Yeah. Yeah, you would think with all the white supremacy and all their other comorbidities that they wouldn't be around, but yet they're still here. I guess DEI. Speaking of DEI hires, got one more story to get through. Can we do it?
I mean, that's up to you. You're the one that's got the cleaning lady coming.
Well, she's not supposed to be here for another 25 minutes. Here's the thing about Mexicans. When you're expecting them to be late, they show up early. When you're expecting them to be on time, they show up late. So she'll probably show up at like 20 minutes early and interrupt our broadcast.
Speaking of DEI hires,
as smart as I know my ass is, Ketanji Brown is smarter. Smartest person I've ever met in my life. When you smart, I'm smart. That lady is smart on a level I've never seen before. And
hang on, Joy Reid just disqualified herself from being anything even remotely resembling smart because she said that Don Lemon is smart. Like, if you think Don Lemon is smart, you are automatically. This is like when I said earlier about the brainworm. Like, if you say brainworm, I just automatically disqualify anything you say after that. You say Don Lemon is smart, everything else has now been invalidated.
Well, it's all relative, though.
I mean, I guess smart.
If you're hanging out with a bunch of idiots, it's like, yeah, okay, Don Lemon looks smart compared to literal retards, and Ketanji Brown Jackson must, seem like she's got wisdom for like an alien from another planet that has thousands of years of advancement on us compared to these two buffoons. And I've been joking for I don't know how many years now that Joy Reid's brain is receding with her hairline. It's like, somebody prove me wrong on this, because her hair keeps moving farther back and she keeps getting dumber.
her 3 roommates were even smarter. These girls were so smart that we were shocked that we'd ever met anybody that intelligent. And Amy Coney Barrett, on the other hand, is a Supreme Court justice just like Ketanji, even though her qualifications are minuscule compared to Ketanji's. Maybe that's the affirmative action we've been getting. White people who are essentially mediocre in scale compared to a black person getting the spot because they wanted a conservative. Maybe the way that JD Vance got into Yale is because they were tired of just letting in white men from New York, from Choate, from all the elite schools, and they wanted an Appalachian white. That's how that man got into Yale, I promise you. Same thing with Ron DeSantis from a small town in Florida. They wanted to just get out of the New York, D.C. matrix, Massachusetts matrix, and let somebody into Harvard and Yale who came from a different place. He came from Florida. Baby, that's also affirmative action and DEI. So before y'all start going crazy about DEI just meaning they let black people in just on the basis of being black, think a little more critically. And think about the fact that it's also disabled people, military veterans, people who come from Appalachia, white folks who come from Alaska and different places that they don't normally come from, indigenous people, Latinos, Asians. And the last thing I'll say about this, for all of y'all people on Fox that are going to clip this.
White people don't normally come from Alaska, Johnny.
Because y'all mad about affirmative action? Because yes, I embrace affirmative action because I belonged at Harvard and I was smarter than all the legacies I went to school with, who only were.
Hang on, isn't she literally on film, on video, saying if it wasn't for affirmative action, she wouldn't have got into Harvard? She's like, I absolutely belong in Harvard, but if it wasn't for affirmative action, I wouldn't have got into Harvard. What is it? Which one is it,
dude? I mean, it is almost as if somebody shakes these people like a fucking Etch-a-Sketch every Sunday night, and they just forget what happened the week before, what they said the week before. Maybe it's every night they get shaken like an Etch-a-Sketch, and their brain is just completely erased. I don't know if any people remember what Etch-a-Sketch is.
Hang on. So talking about like JD Vance being basically a DEI placement to Yale. All right. Yale Law School is like super selective. To get in, he would have had to score exceptionally high on the LSAT. Also, he was a tutor for like the LSAT going into that. Like, so not only would he have scored exceptionally high to get in, but he was somebody that tutored other people on how to take the LSAT. Like, he did well enough that he tutored others on how to take it. Like,
yeah, I mean, I will say to her point, like he has the backstory. Oh, coming from like a poor Appalachian background, that will help separate you from the pack of everybody else that has, the exact same score and the same kind of grades and all this and all that. And then it's like, oh, but the cherry on top is like, I come from this, disadvantaged background and a tough childhood and all that. That will separate you from the pack. But they're not going to take him, with a 15, 20 point score lower than somebody else. You know what I mean?
Especially not Yale. Everything about it is nuts.
I just love stupid people talking about how smart everybody is. It's like, I don't think I want Joy Reid calling me smart. But if Joy Reid calls me an idiot, then I know I'm a fucking genius.
Yeah, especially based on what she qualifies as smart. She thinks Don Lemon's smart. So,
dude, Don Lemon is such a buffoon. He is such a buffoon. And just watching him try to remain. I mean, the only time anybody sees anything from Don Lemon is like when he's making an idiot of himself online, and people share the clips to make fun of him, like we do. Nobody's watching his stupid little podcast, even though he was like one of the top guy was at CNN. He was like one of the he was definitely in like the top 2 or 3 guys, right? Yeah. So anyway, is that going to do it for today? We got anybody else to make fun of?
Not that I can think of off the top of my head. I think that covers it pretty well.
All right. Well, you got anything going on this weekend, or are you just recovering from your esophagus stuff?
Well, I'm working this weekend, and then getting ready for hopefully having surgery soon.
Well, all right. I guess that'll do it. Everybody have a nice weekend. Thank you so very much for listening. We will be back on Tuesday with a brand new episode. And don't forget to go to expatmoneysummit.com and register for free to check out the the 2025 Expat Money Summit, talking about Latin America, how to maximize your liberty and your freedom. Going to be some great speakers there, so go check them out. A link to that in the description. And the happy hour failed last week, and nobody showed up for like the first 20 minutes, so I just cut out. But that'll teach you to be late if anybody did show up.
If I'm not having surgery next Friday, I will also not be working next Friday, so I can be on for a happy hour. How about that?
All right. And until then, until Tuesday, you guys know what to do. Just keep on peddling that so-called fiction. Peace.